High in the great green mountains there lay a village. It was called Serenity. The houses were small, made of good wood. Smoke curled from chimneys, smelling of warm bread. Villagers smiled much. They worked in their gardens, full of bright flowers. Children laughed by the clear rushing stream. The tall pine trees whispered secrets to the wind. Life was simple. Life was good for these folk. But one day, a shadow fell. It crept down from the highest, stoniest peaks. Troublemakers lived there, hidden in dark caves. They did not like peace. They did not like happy songs. They began to bother the quiet village. They stole fruit from the orchards. They made noises in the night. Fear, like a cold mist, started to drift among the houses. The villagers grew quiet. The laughter by the stream grew faint. Mothers called their children close, very close. The old men of the village sighed. Their faces were creased with worry. They looked up at the tall mountains. The mountains now seemed to hold a threat. "We want our peace back," they whispered. "We want the songs to return." The whispering pines seemed to agree, their needles rustling with a sad sound. Still, hope was not lost in Serenity. The villagers were good people. They believed in kindness. They believed brave hearts could mend all things. They gathered in the small village square. They spoke in low, earnest voices. They decided to ask for help. Someone, somewhere, must know how to help them. Someone must know how to bring back the warm sun to their shadowed valley. News travels even from quiet villages. It travels like the wind through mountain passes. It reached the ears of brave soldiers. These soldiers were guardians of the land. They kept watch over many villages. They stood for what was right and good. Their hearts were strong. Their purpose was clear: to help those in need. They listened carefully to the story of Serenity. Among these soldiers was a leader. His name was Captain Zane. He was not tall, but his eyes shone bright. They shone with courage and with kindness. He heard the villagers' plea for help. He understood their fear. He knew that peace was a precious thing. It was like a fragile flower. It needed protection from harsh winds. Captain Zane decided he would help the village of Serenity. He gathered his best soldiers. He spoke to them of Serenity. He spoke of the troublemakers. He told them they had a job to do, a very important job. They would call this mission Operation Bunyan Marsoos. This was a special name. It meant strong wall or united strength. It meant they would stand together. They would be a shield for the village, strong and unshakable. The soldiers listened to Captain Zane. Their faces were serious. Their hearts were ready. They trusted their captain. They believed in their mission. They were a team, each man like a strong link in a chain. They would work as one. They would bring back the laughter to the children. They would restore the peace to the whispering pines. Their resolve was as firm as the ancient mountains themselves. So the soldiers set out. Captain Zane walked at their head. The sun was not yet awake. They moved like shadows in the gray light. Their journey was not easy. The path was steep and very stony. It wound up the great mountain. They climbed higher and higher. Dense forests clung to the slopes. The air grew thin and cold, but their spirits were warm with purpose. They moved with great care. Not a twig snapped under their boots. Not a stone was dislodged to roll and warn. They knew the troublemakers had sharp ears. They were like silent hunters in the wild. They helped each other over difficult parts. A steady hand here, a quiet word there. Teamwork made the hard path easier. Their eyes scanned every rock, every shadow. They were focused. Higher still they climbed towards the hidden hideout. The troublemakers lived in a dark den. It was high among the craggy peaks. The soldiers reached a spot below it. Dawn was just beginning to paint the sky. A faint pink touched the highest snows. The air was still, holding its breath. The soldiers were ready. Their hearts beat strong and steady with courage. They waited for Captain Zane's signal. Then, with the first true light, they acted. It was not a battle of loud noises. It was a plan of smartness and speed. The soldiers were quick. They were clever. The troublemakers were taken by complete surprise. They woke from their sleep to find themselves surrounded. They saw the determined faces of the soldiers. They knew their mischief was over. They could not stand against such unity and bravery. The troublemakers were no longer a threat. Their power was broken. The dark cloud over the mountains began to lift. Captain Zane and his brave soldiers led them away. The path down the mountain felt lighter. The sun shone brightly now. It warmed the faces of the returning heroes. The birds in the forest seemed to sing a cheerier tune. Peace was coming back to the valley. When they reached Serenity, the village was waiting. Every man, woman, and child was there. A great cheer went up. It echoed through the valley. The villagers rushed forward. They had flowers and smiles for the soldiers. Children danced around Captain Zane. The old men nodded, their eyes shining with gratitude. The fear was gone from their faces. Safety had returned, like a warm, welcome blanket. A wonderful feast was held in the village square. Tables were laden with good food, music played, and people sang happy songs once more. The whispering pines seemed to sway in time with the music. Captain Zane and his soldiers were heroes, but they were humble. "We only did our duty," said Captain Zane. "Peace is for everyone to enjoy." He smiled at the happy children. Operation Bunyan Marsoos became a famous story. It was told by parents to their children. It was a tale of great courage. It showed how teamwork could win the day. It taught that standing up for peace was always right. The village of Serenity lived happily. They never forgot the brave soldiers. They remembered the strong wall of unity that protected them. And the mountains stood guard, green and peaceful once more.